And the one thing I do also want to say before I get started, everybody here who knows me knows that I place far more importance in the why and the how. But I think tonight is genuinely a night for what? And the amount of stuff we've done. All right, so at the end of August, Ellie and I finally learned that we would finally have a space, and boy, was that a journey. It took 2.5 years. And we were both probably as physically knackered as we could remember in our lifetime when we got this news. We had delivered the pop-up story of a studio as we were waiting. We gathered our first 75 founding members, and we had delivered FitzFest in this big tent on the lawn of the Fitzwilliam. And if any of you ever hear Ellie or I saying we should build a cabinet of curiosity and we should install it for a week on the lawn of the Fitzwilliam and run workshops all week long and then deinstall it on the Monday morning at 7 a.m., just slap us. No, we will never do that again. So the point is, we wanted to collapse, and then all of you came along. Wasn't that something? And so let's start our timeline from September. All right. First and foremost, we literally, physically built this place in 2 weeks.
Wow.
Francesco, you remember some weird Saturday and an abandoned Vision Express painting furniture?
Yes.
Yeah, it was.
It's all here.
It's all here. You're sitting on the work that Francesco has done. Nothing in this, we bought some folding chairs. Everything else was upcycled and recycled, stuff that we looted from shops that had gone out of business in the Grafton Center. What did I say here? Right. We scrub things from refrigerators. I never want to know what those things are. We fell in love with a really quirky electrician named Adam who worked, he was here he came on a Friday night at like 8 o'clock and he was here until like 7 o'clock on Sunday morning. I don't know what happened, but we have lights and electricity to Adam and his team.
And chandeliers.
And chandeliers, which was very tricky. And thanks to a team called Plum Red, literally, and the Hollywood Writers' Strike, they literally packed up, they finished building sets for Billions, and they came here. And they were here for 2 weeks. And if it wasn't for the Hollywood Writers' Strike, I don't think there's any way we would have gotten this together in 2 weeks' time. And somehow in between, I think some of you must have been there. I think, Francesco, you were there too. But we did the interviews for the first Creative Workspace cohort.
Yes.
These big circular interviews, again, in this abandoned Vision Express.
Exactly.
Quirky, weird,
Brilliant.
warm, wonderful.
Brilliant.
And then on the evening of the 29th of September, some of us were part of this conference call that we had with a bloke named Charles Vogel. Richard and I were talking about him earlier today. And actually, Richard, just above your head is Charles. Chris was there that night. And literally this was, so when we talk about community design, this man is based in California, and he works with all the big companies, and he just decided to take us on for free and helped us develop our community design plan. And the night before our opening party, he did basically, it really was like a spiritual guru call with about 5 of us. Everybody was invited, 5 people turned up. And that was really helpful. It was a deep breath moment. And then the next day, we had a party. Chris came as Dolly. Irena came as Frida. I think a lot of the rest of you were there. And we partied. And then the next Monday, we got started working through our theory of change. And don't worry, I'm not going to talk you through the theory of change tonight. And so what have we done? So since the 30th of September, we've held 3 festivals. And in the month of October and November alone, we explored Fenland folk and folk wisdom and belonging, the sound of fear and belonging, witchcraft and belonging, apples and culture and biodiversity and belonging, social inequality and bonfire night and belonging, how to cultivate an attitude of gratitude and belonging. And in between, we welcomed nearly 100 trick-or-treaters on Halloween night. Nicola, you were there for that amazing moment when we had this impromptu dance party.
Oh, that was so good.
To the Time Warp.
Yeah.
And somehow, Cambridge's refugee community got word that our door was open, and they came. I mean, there were probably 10 or 20 people who just wanted to learn the time warp and understand what is this weird Western ritual, and kept saying to us, we're welcome, we can come in. And the answer was, yes, of course. And so after we did the time warp again and again and again, what did we do? Oh God, then I roasted a bird and made a hell of a lot of food. And we were parading food up and down the street all night because of course we don't have a kitchen here. We had a massive gratitude circle and we celebrated our first Thanksgiving together. That was a big moment. And Toinette, you were definitely here for that. And your lovely Raj was here for that night. And it was something personally I will never forget.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Never been to one before. Wonderful.
Really good. And then as the holidays came, we held our first Saturday lounge. Many of you were here for that. Bisha, Raj, and Pia held court. That was a family, the mystery family. It really held court. There were visioning projects. There was art therapy. There was this incredible photography workshop where Linda, amongst other people, took some seminal photographs. Yes, iconic. Thank you very much.
Indeed.
Jackie. And I don't know if anybody remembers who was there, Penny's son Bobby, the very effervescent Bobby.
Yeah.
Bobby's about, yes, we were there as well.
Yeah,
You ran a writing workshop.
Absolutely, I did, yeah.
And Bobby, before we started, was he's about 10, 11 years old, he's 12 for his age, and just was motivated and said, 3 cheers for Together Culture! Hurrah, hurrah, hurrah! It was definitely a moment. We created Vegnog that day. Opened our co-retail space, and I do believe Francesco may have sold his first work of art. Yeah.
Well done, you. That's great.
And then when solstice came, we celebrated Viking traditions, we sang our light within, we learned about the origins of that thing we call a feast, and then it was Christmas. Ellie and I slept for 2 weeks. January started very formally with the stage of Together Culture, and I will say, a quarter of members turned up in person to understand what was going on with Together Culture and what our forward plans were, and to look at our forecasting and all of that jazz. I was more than impressed, I have to say. On Blue Monday, the most depressing day of the year, 30 people turned up at 4 p.m. to explore how we move from a scarcity to an abundance mindset. You were there, weren't you, Naomi? Yeah, I was not expecting that to happen, and I had a feeling 2024 was going to be pretty good. What else did we do? We explored mindsets. The founder of the Good Ancestor Movement, a person that I have long held in very high esteem, Jake Heyman, honored us by coming here and to bring us really good news about what multimillionaires are doing to redistribute their wealth, this change that's happening spiritually within people and how they don't want to hold on to these past transgressions of their family. Allison came from the British Antarctic Survey. I can say it now. I struggled, read it all my life, but couldn't really say it. And she taught us about ecosystems in Antarctica, and she talked about flows, so that we could identify what are the natural systems of flow. And then our friend Jeremy taught us about different types of structuring the economy, so that it would have natural flows, so that economies could be something that could support all of us and help us all thrive. So we've been learning some pretty good stuff together, really important stuff together. We had more Saturday lounges. Richard, Roberta, Pauline, Usama, Evie, Lele, Weaver. I'm sure there are more of you within this room who have shared your passions, your skills. You've taught others, and it's been a reciprocal thing, and they've contributed, I hope, to also your understanding of your work. That's been amazing. And then people started to run their own solo events. Our dear friend Kate has started Turn Up and Write.
Yes, you should all be there, really. Go on a guilt trip. You're welcome.
It's wonderful. And you've run, is it 4 sessions now?
We've had 4 sessions, and it's kind of grown. We had that's about 20 people last time.
That's
And
great.
it was really, really enjoyable. I wanted to talk to you about that.
Yes, it was, yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, no, it's lovely.
It's fantastic. So that's one example. And our goal, of course, was by this time of the year, spring 24, that Ellie and I curation and programming, but it was predominantly a stage for members. And boy, it's predominantly been a stage for members. We can't keep up. Now in between all of this, I'm not gonna talk you through the theory of change. But what I am gonna say is a group of people amongst you, Naomi being one of them, Roberta being another, Yvonne and Lele as well, they're not here tonight, have taken it upon themselves to start Together Culture Connections. So they've developed a whole program through which if you need a buddy to help you turn up here more often, they're organizing it for you. If you have skills to share, if you're in need of somebody with some sort of skill and you're trying to find them within the membership, they're gonna help you do that. Whatever, if you are looking to network and to develop more inroads into whatever business you're trying to get up and off the ground, they're gonna help you find other people. And it's more people helping people right now, but we're working on making it enter the digital sphere. So thank you very much for that. In between, the Community Development Board and Mr. Mark Bicella designed, and we started delivering our first ever citizen studio. That's going to be part of the annual cycle of events. 70 of you have registered to participate, and I'm sure more will before the last session on the 2nd of May. That's incredible.
And still space at 2 p.m. tomorrow if you want to join here.
Still
Sorry,
space at 2
I
p.m.
didn't
tomorrow.
catch that.
2 p.m. tomorrow we're doing
Okay,
another
great.
session.
And in between, and then I just got tired of typing. And then there's the whole Repair Cafe team. The Repair Cafe is at capacity. We found a model. We found friends in Edinburgh who figured out how to turn it into a business that turns over 400 grand a year.
Wow.
And so we're working towards that. That's our new goal. We developed and delivered 7 sessions of Business Unusual, our first proper course, if you will. And we had 10 people on that full cohort. And then, Ellie, how many living book events? You churned butter, you collaged, you made chocolates,
yeah.
You shook mocktails,
Yep.
and we helped, this thing, living book skills and behaviors that are the bedrock of how, when you walk in this door, hopefully, it feels a bit different from the outside world. And it's a space that's held where you feel safe and you're welcome to be your authentic self. Well, probably 100 of you have turned up to learn how to do that and how to hold that for everybody else. Long may that continue. Our lease was extended. And what percentage of you do you think decided to stick with us when we knew that we were going to be here longer? 95%.
Wow.
95% of people decided when the lease was renewed that we're going to stick around. So something's going right. We ran 2 crowdfunders. And then bubbles have started bubbling up far beyond 5 Fitzroy Street. We are working with Abbey People. We are developing and delivering the business model and probably also the design for a community center that is being built in Abbey, and Abbey People will be the proprietors. And we're working with Hill and the council on doing that. We've just put a big bid in for the Social Prosperity Fund. And we've developed a program with Abbey to help people overcome poverty mindset, foundational work to get people out of deprivation. We are working with Adam Brooks, Mark and I, again, thank you very much. And we are co-designing a creative health program for their 13,000 strong workforce, with their workforce and their arts teams. This week, I had the GLA, the Greater London Authority, come up. They have heard about Together Culture. We were one of 3 organizations they wanted to learn and meet in Cambridge, and it looks like they want to have conversations with us about consulting and helping creative enterprise zones be able to change behavior and habits and to become so much more impactful down in London. Next week, I'm meeting with Land Securities, one of the largest property development firms in the country, about how we might be able to develop and deliver our department store of experimentation concept way beyond Cambridge and in Cambridge. And of course, 17 Fitzroy Street, Chris and I are going to be. Abe Rogers is coming up on Monday, and we've been making, it's not definitive yet, but Pioneer, the developers, have told us by June, we will know if we can take over that space.
Fantastic.
And if we can then work towards our fundraising, and of course we've got this amazing team, and again, a huge shout out to Chris. Yay! We'll be co-designing combining that and hopefully taking that over together. Today I was meeting with Center 33, the youth services charity, about how we might be able to share that space, and Cambridge Science Center is definitively in with us on that. That's only a small portion. There's other stuff I can talk about that's on the horizon. So, along the way, we're about 250 people now. And if you look around this room, I really hope that with this small portion of those 250 people, I suspect that most of you were strangers. I know some of you are here with your partners tonight, so I hope you weren't strangers 6 months ago. Well, hey, maybe I take that back. Yeah, a lot happens fast. But hopefully, I don't think most of you knew one another. I certainly didn't know many of you at all 6 months ago. And I can only speak from my own perspective. But I know that when I'm with you, I feel so good. I really feel like I belong. And I really feel like I'm part of something that's bigger than the sum of its parts. And I hope that some of you feel the same way. I want to give a shout out to Ellie.
Thank you. Iris.
I want to say that as your friend and your co-founder, I'm very proud of you. You have
Thank you.
grown a lot in 6 months. You've become bigger.
Yeah.
You're a bigger person.
Thank you. Yeah.
You know your value
Yep.
more. Not all of it yet.
Getting there. Working on it. Working on it.
But you take up space.
Yeah. Thank
And
you.
I think everybody is very grateful for your very, you have a graceful, a very graceful power.
Thank you. Iris. Thank you.
And I did also want to say that amongst this group, and I'm not going to name names, that I think one of the reasons we're feeling a sense of belonging is not just the community design plan. It's the rites of passage, and it's just what's happened in our lives. So in 6 months, I also know there have been tears, there have been cancer diagnoses, there have been jobs lost, there have been jobs gained, there have been surgeries long dreamt of and finally delivered. There have been fears vocalized, there have been fears overcome. Comfort zones, I know, because you told me, have expanded exponentially. Children have been born, parents have been lost, and dreams have been shaped, and dreams have begun to be realized. That's a community. That's a community. And we hold that for each other. So, the last thing I will say, and I know this is going on, but I spent my day in a very happy place. I think a lot of you know a bloke named John Alexander, who started the New Citizen Project and has written this book named Citizens, is coming to Together Culture for a conversation with Mike Davey, who is the leader of the City Council, and that's happening on the 9th of May. And so it's been about 2 days of work trying to curate this conversation, to do the research and to structure it properly. And I spent about 4 hours of my day working on that. Plug. Do come. And so I learned the etymology of the word citizen. Who knows? Does anybody know what the etymology of the word citizen is? What does the Latin mean? Together, people.
That's great.
So what I want to say to you is never ever underestimate the power of turning up here and the power of what we are doing. This is citizenship. This is the transformation to a more regenerative society where it isn't just about being in this space, but it's about demonstrating that everybody can be their authentic selves and we can develop an economy that enables us to do what we were put on this bloody earth to do, which effectively is just to love and to support one another and to do it in harmony with the rest of the natural world. So, I'm asking you to raise your glasses to together people. To together people.